Welcome back, everybody. So a couple of days ago, I got my iPhone X, and a couple of days from now, I will be selling it. Over just a few days of usage with this phone, I ran into enough problems to not want to deal with it anymore. And yeah, a lot of the problems will get better with time, but frankly, I'm just not interested in waiting around. There are a few things I want to mention first. First is that there are a lot of things about this phone that I really like. I'm glad Apple is putting something new on the table, and it's been a fun phone to use, but being new doesn't excuse having problems. And the other things I want to mention are a few problems that other people have had that I haven't had, so I'm not going to include them on this list. The first of which is battery life. My battery has been absolutely phenomenal, so I've been very impressed over the couple of days I've used it. And the other one is getting used to using the swipe motions instead of the home button. I thought that was a pretty seamless transition, but I could see how some people had issues. Problem number one is optimization. This is by far the most widespread problem. Apps just are not optimized for the iPhone X screen yet, and it makes sense because it just came out and developers haven't had time yet, but it can get really annoying when you go from app to app and each one has its own little thing that's off or not right because of the iPhone X screen, and over time it really compounds and becomes a kind of big issue. First off, you can see that iMessage has this huge gap down here that really isn't being used for anything. The Instagram logo should definitely not be so close it's actually touching the notch. And lastly, videos on the phone play in the center of the phone with black bars on the top and the bottom because of the weird aspect ratio. And those are just the four main ones that I noticed. I promise you that as you open up random apps and just use the phone normally, you randomly find little things that just don't really work with the display, and it just throws off the whole experience. I mentioned it earlier, these will get better with time. The similar thing happened with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. It just takes developers a little bit of time to adapt to the new hardware, but there are phones out there that I can buy for less money that have fully functional apps and ecosystems that I don't have to go through these hoops to deal with and eventually have a fully functional phone. Problem number two is feel. So when I heard it was going to be a glass front and back and a stainless steel frame, I was extremely excited. When I saw other people using hands-on with it, it looks really nice. It looks like it would feel really premium, but when I took it out of the box for the first time, I was immediately disappointed. It took me a while to figure out why. It's not really the glass. The glass feels good on the front and back, and it's not the weight. It weighs in between an 8 and 8 Plus. It feels just about right. What it is though is the frame. Instead of feeling like stainless steel or metal, it feels like glossy plastic. I assume it's some type of cover or seal they put on the stainless steel in order to make it last longer, but because of the design, the frame is what you're gripping like 99% of the time, so it's a very present feel, and it just feels like plastic. It feels like cheap plastic, at least in my opinion. I know this is an opinion, but it's one I feel very strongly about, because the iPhones always, to me, one of the best things about them was the way they felt, the way that metal aluminum felt just so premium in your hand. And then I picked this up, it feels just cheap, which is just totally contrary to what it should feel like. Problem number three is durability. The iPhone X is an extremely fragile phone. A company called SquareTrade put it through their drop test, and it scored a 90 out of 100. And at first glance, you might be like, oh, that's pretty good. But no, 100 is the most fragile. 1 would be the most safe. So a 90 is a very bad score. They actually, quote unquote, said it was the most breakable, highest priced, most expensive to repair iPhone. Ouch. Of course, you could just get a case with it, but that of course would mean you're covering up the premium materials that you paid for. Or you could be like me. I usually go with a naked phone with a screen protector on it because I like keeping my screen in good condition, but I don't like the feel of a case on it. However, because of the new motions with swiping and swiping down and the shape of the phone, a screen protector feels really weird because now there's an edge there instead of it being smooth. So I paid for a screen protector and installed it, but now I'm taking it off because that was a waste of money. And the fourth and arguably most important problem is cost. And it may at first seem like a cop-out problem, but really it's the only reason I'm selling my iPhone X. All of the problems it has would be bearable on a phone as impressive as the iPhone X if it didn't cost over $1,000. At that price, it better be damn well perfect. To add insult to injury, I paid $1,300 for mine because I forgot to pre-order it on time. Go me. But that's in used car territory. Even $1,000 is in used car territory. Like if I buy a 2004 Nissan Sentra for $1,000, I expect to have some problems with it over its lifetime. But if I buy a phone for over $1,000, it better be perfect. Otherwise, I'm selling it and buying a cheaper phone that doesn't have those problems. That's all I have today. Those 4 problems are why I'm selling my iPhone X. Thank you, that was 8. Thank you for watching, subscribe to see more content, and as always, stay classy.